Hey guys, this is Miss Dodd. We're going to watch 3 videos today. Keep in mind that every once in a while a question will be asked, so make sure that you're listening to everything that's said. And with that, let's get started.
More oxen black for me.
They are symbols and statues that have offended many for years. Civil War generals Robert E. Lee, P.G.T. Beauregard, and the President of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis.
I've been in California for the last, it would have 9 years. And I'm really sad because I thought we would have made more progress since Katrina.
As South Carolina takes steps to remove the Confederate flag after the murder of 9 blacks in a Charleston church by a man police say wanted to start a race war, the mayor of New Orleans takes steps to remove vestiges of the Confederacy here.
How can we expect to inspire a nation when our most prominent public spaces are dedicated to the reverence of those who fight for bondage and supremacy of our fellow Americans?
The mayor also wants to rename Jefferson Davis Parkway after newly retired Xavier president, Dr. Norman Francis.
How we discuss this is important as what we discuss. Hopefully we will do so in a civil and a thoughtful manner that exemplifies who we are.
But the debate got testy.
You cut me off?
I would like to propose that instead of destroying our history, that we embellish it.
Jason Sutton proposed leaving Confederate statues alone, but adding statues to celebrate the Buffalo Soldiers and other African-American cultural figures.
Confederate monuments are not a public nuisance. They are history.
But others weren't buying in.
No other country in the civilized world participated in that and then glorified those who caused those murders.
While many say this debate is long overdue, others say it doesn't go far enough.
You've got the Andrew Jackson statue. You've got the E.D. White statue in front of the Supreme Court. E.D. White was a member of the White League.
The council approved a motion to send the issue to the Human Relations Commission to hold more hearings.
This is going to open up a discussion about race and history in our community, and we need to have that.
Supremacy may be part of our past, but it should not be part of our future.
Just steady, Betty. Steady, Betty. Never quit.
Okay, that was the first video.
Robert E. Lee, the courtly commander who turned out to be a battlefield gambler. Born in 1807, Lee is the son of Revolutionary War hero Light Horse Harry Lee. By the outbreak of the Civil War, he is a colonel in the U.S. Army.
If things had been very slightly different, Lee might have led the North rather than the South. In fact, he was offered command of the Union armies at the beginning of the war. And he pondered this decision very carefully, but he finally decided that his loyalties lay with Virginia rather than with the United States.
Confederate President Jefferson Davis appoints Lee commander of the Army of Northern Virginia in 1862.
Lee is very much the embodiment of the Confederacy. On the one hand, he's a gentleman and looks like a Virginia planter. On the other hand, he's kind of a riverboat gambler. He's got this interesting personality mix.
Over the next year and a half, Lee wins a series of dazzling victories for the South against a revolving door of Union generals.
Lee is often credited by historians of the Civil War as being the general who exhibited great daring, contrasted to Grant, who was considered something of a plodder. Well, in Lee's case, it was daring of necessity. He was on the side of the underdog. He had to take chances. He had to win the war. He had to take the war to the North. If things had been on the other side, if Lee had been in Grant's position, he might well have been just the plodder that Grant was.
Ulysses S. Grant eventually proves to be the one Union general that Lee can't beat. Lee surrenders to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in 1865. and urges fellow Southerners to reconcile with the North. His health shattered by years on the battlefield, he dies 5 years later in 1870. Though he lost the war, Lee is remembered as an almost mythic hero, especially in the South.
Lee became the symbol of the lost cause. And there are few things more heroic than the hero who doesn't quite manage to accomplish the great thing he has in mind.
Let's worry-proof our walls with paint.
Okay. Oh, hold on one second. I apologize for that. So that was the second video with a little bit of background about Robert E. Lee. And this is the third video.
Here in Lee's Circle, the Trilateral Commission of New Orleans is calling on Mayor Landrieu for the removal of all symbols of the Confederacy. And it doesn't stop with the Confederate flag. They're calling for the removal of all symbols, including monuments that represent former slave owners and supporters of the Confederacy, which are paid for by tax dollars.
We're not talking about erasing history today. We're talking about no longer holding up the kind of white supremacy that has held people down for far too long.
The lecturers put it in historical context by comparing the issue to the Holocaust.
If the city was decorated with swastikas, Adolf Hitler, and any other images of Nazis, okay, this city would be in an uproar.
The message they are trying to get across to Mayor Landrieu and City Council is imperative to the worldview of New Orleans.
We cannot wholeheartedly project ourselves as an international city around the world when we have symbols of racism indicating that this is a segregated society still yet, funded by public money. We demand that they remove these symbols of racism, segregation, and racial superiority from public property immediately.
At this point, all racist monuments are being called out.
Take it down! Take it down!
What we're calling for is, one, the immediate removal, of course, of all Confederate statues, but also the immediate removal of the White League monuments on Iberville.
9 seconds of silence were observed for the lives lost in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, that was the third video. Thanks for watching.